And ICP George.
Juggalo George.
Juggalo George. See, it's all how you treat people.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. You know, he could have thought I was a jerk, you know, and now he wants to take me on tour with him.
Yeah, well, it had us going the whole time. All right.
Oh, see the belt? Look at that belt.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta shut up. I'm not on the hair yet.
Okay, here I'm is. And you know what is my biz? That's breaking on through for you right here live on Tuesday night. So, I got a couple announcements I want to make. I want to thank everybody for participating in the Black Friday Cyber Monday sales. I also want to thank everybody for the pre-order of the Joe Buck Yourself and Joe Young split single. Still got plenty to go, but the grays are running low. Sorry about that, y'all. But if you want one of the grays, man, get on it. Get on it now. And you probably hear me coughing throughout the show. I got the last bit of something I'm trying to get rid of, and oh well, you've heard worse from me. But anyway, the only other announcement I have is that December 8th at the milestone, 54 years of the milestone. If you're celebrating 54 years, what do? There's only one thing you can do. You get the 40-year World Heavyweight Champions of Rock and Roll, and that's ANTiSEEN. You get them to play the milestone on December 8th. Now, y'all all got to be there. That's the last show of 2023. When the show's starting 24, well, I don't know. What am I, a mind reader? I can't tell you. I don't know. But let me clear a little thing out of my throat. And I would like to say, yeah, I know, I'm looking at the playback. That looks really attractive and everything. But I just want to say, without further ado,
Oh man.
I'm going to bring to you the main event, the main guy, the main over at Wrestlecade 2023. Now he's gonna give us a full rundown, because I'll tell you what, 9,000 people were there and saw it. But there are a lot more, all of us all over the country, that were not there to see it. But we are going to get a first-hand account from Mr. Number One, the bootleg preacher himself, the one and the only, Mr. George South. Welcome him, everybody.
My brother, thank you so much. We are here. Thank you. You can just keep going if you like.
Oh, man, I got a million of them. You know that.
Man, folks, do not adjust your TV. Folks, I know I look a little clean shaven. Look, I got my David Lee Roth scarf on when Van Halen loved him. Folks, honestly, I cleaned up a little bit after my match with Joey Janela. The ones that didn't get to see it, we used everything that was not nailed down. I mean, we broke doors, glass, thumbtacks, barbed wire. And believe it or not, when I got done, I had all of that in my beautiful goatee that I had grown. And I went home after being on the road all week and stood in front of that mirror in the bathroom and was going to clean up. And I said, screw it. I just shaved it as the thumbtacks fell. That's a true story. I know your viewers don't want to hear that, but anyway, so I got cleaned up a little bit. I know it looked like 15-year-old Mr. Number One, George South. But, man, I am, Jeff, so glad to be here. It looks like I just came straight from Wrestlecade. This is my famous patch. People say, where'd you get it? The very first Wrestlecade, some wrestling fan dropped it. So I picked it up.
So, really?
So I've had it ever since. So, and of course, beautiful Bobby Eaton. I've told you my pen. Oh, it's on this one. Beautiful Bobby Eaton. So anyway, we're so glad to be here. So much going on, folks. I know, without me even saying it, Jeff, they have noticed the 10 pounds of gold sitting right over our corner. Folks, I brought this tonight to show you as a special gift it was to me. A friend of mine, Andy McDaniels, that we go back many, many years, a big Mid-Atlantic wrestling fan. he had this belt made, specially made for me, and all the territories. Before we go off the air, I may just have Jeff hold it in. I'll hold it in. But all the territories, Mid-Atlantic, Georgia Championship Wrestling, Florida, all the places I've been, he had their logos on that. Not just one big logo like WWE. They all had their own logo. And so, man, what a great honor. If we feel it, if y'all see it fall, I'm just gonna keep talking like nothing didn't happen. Okay. So anyway, Wrestlecade, Jeff, let me just tell you real quick. That is my Super Bowl. I've told everybody that. And I tried even this past week to explain to some of the young guys that were there to help us how it's like they were all in a hurry for it to get over. And I was trying to explain to them that to enjoy this moment, enjoy this 5 days of setting up the ring. And Jeff, we set up over 200 like railing, like cattle railing, just so people would know where to go and all that. We unloaded that. We put up 2 wrestling rings over, and the building put up thousands of chairs, but I can't stand around and watch the building put up chairs. The young kids, the young guys could, but I made them all. We all just jumped in because what's so cool about it, everybody at that building, they become family. Right. The janitor, the custodians and stuff, they've been coming there for almost 12, 13 years. We've been doing Wrestlecade. Jeff, this year was the biggest year attendance that we have ever had. And see, a lot of it, and a lot of people don't talk a lot about it, but I love it, is Toys for Tots is a big friends of ours. And so every Wrestlecade we've done, Jeff, it's up in the thousands, the money that has been raised for Toys for Tots. Now, we don't make a big deal about it. We don't go marching down the street with a drum. But it just does so good for the community,
right,
Jeff. So, man, I'm going to tell you, I didn't, and people say, well, George, did you sleep? I don't want to sleep. I'm serious. The first year I slept in the wrestling ring before it got real big. The first year at Wrestlecade, this is a true story. I slept in the wrestling ring inside the building. Now, when Ricky Morton heard about it, he come up to me the next day and said, "Man, George, you need to borrow some money." I said, "No." He didn't think I had any money to get a room. I said, "I don't want to sleep. If I get tired, I go crash in the ring." I soak in that whole week, and I never want to lose that, Jeff, is what I'm saying. I was the first one, and I take pride in this. I really was the first one there. First thing Wednesday morning is when they let us in, day before Thanksgiving. And man, I went to work. And then Sunday night, when it all was over and they turned the lights off and the rings on the truck, I was one of the last 2 to walk out of that building. And I'm telling you, I get emotional because, like, now I got to live in the real world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I tell people, that 5 days at Wrestlecade was not hard. Dealing with that lady at the Bojangles drive-thru this morning was what was hard. I should be the one mad, not her. But man, it was just. And Jeff, listen, I wrestled. My body's telling me now that I wrestled 3 matches. And buddy, I'll tell you, I got knots. Sunday was the big blow-off match. Me and Joey Janela, and I want to educate you fans real quick, and then I'll shut up. Me and Joey Janela just didn't go out there and start hitting each other. There's an old thing in pro wrestling called an angle. Not a storyline, but it was an angle where 5 months ago, Joey Janela jumped me, and he pulls out the baseball bat with the barbed wire and leaves me laying in the middle of the ring. Man, John Wayne was shocked. And we didn't give it to you right then. You see what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
It ends with me. What happened to Mr. Number 1? George Janela's been bragging about it for 5 months, Jeff. So, buddy, listen to me. Wrestlecade, everybody was foaming at the mouth to see. We didn't give it to them on the internet. We didn't give it to them through, these dirt sheets and all that mess. Would Mr. Number 1 get his hands, or would he get revenge? See, that ain't even in wrestling. There's no revenge anymore in wrestling. You remember that?
Right.
So, anyway, would George South get revenge on Mr. George Janela? So when we sent him to the ring, Now listen to it. Everybody knows how much I love Journey. Listen, when I went to the ring that first night and 9,000 people singing I'll start crying. I need a hanky. 9,000 people singing Don't Stop Believing. You know what? I don't care if it's the Arnold guy or Arnell or whatever. I don't care if it's Steve Parrish. I just know 9,000 people singing Don't Stop Believing. And you got to be dead if you don't get emotional in that moment. And then they ring that bell. Oh my God! And we told a story. It wasn't just we picked up something and hit each other with it. We told a story. And I'm gonna tell you, folks, real quick, something about in the dressing room. And just to give them a little bit of insight. You know, I don't talk to who I'm going to wrestle. We don't see each other. I don't want to see him before I go through that curtain. We don't sit back here and plan this stuff. I've had people ask me, well, did y'all practice? And, you know, I'm thinking, well, the bat's got barbed wire on. I don't know how many times you can practice, how many different ways you can practice that. But anyway, we just went out there and for a little bit, we just made magic. And, buddy, I'm telling you, we broke the door. Walmart was happy to see us coming because we broke every door that they gave us. Lights, I kept a couple of lights to take home and fix my garage. So, but it was my favorite time of the year. I mean that, and just to see fans that have not come, like most of them have come every year. Like, you know, Jamie and Annie and Will, they come every year. Some of them I've just met, and to see them be a part of that and to bring their family, and it's a special time. You don't sleep. None of us. I won't let nobody sleep. The Fan Fest is 6 hours of just going into a room. I call it like a buffet of pro wrestling. It's like you go into a huge room, you know, Jim, and every legend, every wrestler that you could ever imagine, from the golden days to the young guys, the divas, they're all in one big room. And one thing that we do, Jim, that's so special, you don't have to go in a line. Like, if Abdullah's here and Demolition's here, and way over there is so-and-so, Dallas Page. You can go over and see Dallas Page. You know, a lot of conventions, you got to, almost like cattle, you got to stay in line.
You got to go to that cattle.
Yeah, one at a time, exactly. So, but not with us. Once you get in that building, you go see who you want. So, and the only really goof out of the whole 10,000 was the first day. And, you know, I found, before I went, I'll sell anything, Jeff. I found a bunch of VHS old wrestling tapes. I'm talking about the cool ones in WWF, you know, with the great artwork on them and stuff. Hogan and Zeus and all that. And so I had about 10 of them, so I just put them in a stack, and no big deal. If they want them, they want them. But the artwork is what you want, right? Put $10 a piece on them, no big deal. I take them back home. First guy comes, oh my goodness. You'd have thought he found the Holy Grail. So this old fellow, man, he's looking through these things. The first thing I'm thinking, brother, you ain't even got a VHS tape. Okay, but I'll sell them to you. Okay. So first thing he does, like I care, he takes the VHS tape. I'm talking VHS tape. He takes the VHS tape out of the box.
Right.
And guess what that goof says? Excuse me, this tape don't match this box. Now, Jeff, my head spun around like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. Like, there's 10,000 people in here coming to buy stuff, and that's the one thing on my table that he's got a question about.
Right.
And probably over the last 35 years, I may have accidentally put the wrong tape in there. I said, so what? I think he thought I was really going to shut down the store to hear his complaint.
Right.
But I said, so what? He said, well, I just thought I'd tell you. I said, well, I didn't want to know. I mean, what are you going to do with it anyway? You ain't got a VHS player. So my point is, and I'll move on, is I sold it to him. Yeah. Now, I did say, sir, if you want to look through these other 9 tapes and pull them all out to find the one that goes in there, you're more than welcome. Of course, he didn't want to do that.
Right,
so,
right. Of course.
Anyway, he left with a Survival Series 99 WWF box. So, but it wasn't the tape in it. So, but I did make $10 off of them. So
well, there you go.
So, real quick, but with all that and the back end of that, Jeff, my first gift is for you. Now, listen, this has nothing to do with the goofball that I ran away from my table. Jeff, listen, and I don't know if you got this. I got a few little surprises. Jeff, look at this, folks. This is from my personal. Oh, where am I at, Jeff? This is.
No, you're way off.
Oh, way off.
You're right there.
Can they see it now?
Yeah,
now look here, folks. It takes me a minute. Look at this, folks. This ain't redone. This ain't remade. Jeff, remember this? I remember walking in.
Yeah, I remember.
Blockbuster. Now, look at this, Jeff. This is going to be a gift to you from me. But look here, Jeff, that's the secret. Look, folks, it has never been open.
All right.
Okay? So the chances of me sticking a different tape in here.
Now, what if that guy's tape is in there, though?
That's probably what I did. We'll sell this one to him. I'll bring you another one. But this, I remember, Jeff, I remember going in Blockbuster as a young man, you know, back in the day, and you could rent this and, of course, take it back. But this is like some of the first marketing stuff was these, you know, before DVDs, before action figures or anything. So my first gift to you tonight is Hulkamania.
Well, thank you
Ain't
so
that
much.
something? Yeah. And I'm going to show them again so they don't think I'm
Sealed.
lying. Sealed. It's probably that guy's tapes in there too.
it might be. Thank you so much.
But no, that's a gift. Add to the collection, buddy. Sealed. So that's just a small gift to you for having me. Of course, our boy Coleman, the boy wonder, when I came in, man, he loaded up. I had a lot of stuff. I got him a couple gifts.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. George gave little Coleman an early Christmas today. Boy, he loaded him up with all kinds of toys.
And I'll tell you something else. Yeah, I love kids more than I do humans. I'll tell you that. I love kids more than I do humans. So you never know how, especially me with my loud mouth and you know my David Lee Roth necktie.
Right.
You never know how young kids will act to you. But man, that little Coleman has come right up to me, and it blesses my heart, man. That he doesn't know me, but he has showed me a lot of love, and I appreciate it.
He has.
I'm telling you, man. Let me tell you, folks, something real quick. Is I prayed for little Coleman for a year before I ever got to meet him, and then to finally get to meet him, to put a little face with that prayer list on there, on my prayer list. It meant the world to me.
Well, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something. The first time Coleman met George in person was recently, and by the time George's visit was over, Coleman was in his arms, and he says, "Well, I guess me and Coleman's going to go set up a wrestling ring somewhere." And
Yeah.
and Coleman just looked at all of me, his mama, his grandma, and just says, "Bye."
He sure did.
Threw us a few kisses. Bye.
He sure did. If I'd have went out that door, I think he'd have went with me.
I
think
believe
he'd
he
went
would
with
have.
me. Yeah. So, but anyway, you think? Look here. I want to show you real quick what our girl Jamie said. She witnessed the match between me and they were front row between me and Joey Janela. And man, I ain't saying I'm the smartest wrestling legend in the world, but I told Jeff a little bit earlier before we went live is, man, when I get in that moment, I ain't saying I'm the smartest person, but I ain't turning back, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so if I'm booked in this match, and I'm thinking there's thousands of people out there, Jeff, that I'm going to give them their money's worth. They've worked hard and with their hard-earned money, and they bought a ticket. And I don't care about anything else on that show, that I still, and at 61 years old, I still want to go out there and have the best match and perform. So I said all that to say, I did it last year and it wasn't too smart. But in the middle of the match, I was so dramatic. And I milk it like crazy. So I go to the ring with my old T-shirt. I've had it forever, man. It's all sweaty and everything. So in the middle of the match, I don't want to give it away in case people want to go see it later on the replay. But Jeff, I pull my shirt off, and then now people know what this crazy man's fixing to do. So then, there's barbed wire everywhere. I make the referee. That's the funniest thing about the whole match is the referee's afraid. I'm over here like looking like, death, and the rest afraid to hold the end of the barbed wire for me, Jeff, because I can't wrap myself in it unless you're holding the end of it, right?
Right.
So the ref's got these, Haas Cartwright gloves on from working on the ranch, and he's holding it like it ain't gonna stick him, but he's doing this number, Jeff.
All right.
All right, hold it. And I've got to yell at him, hold it. And so, again, my daughter's still mad at me as I'll wrap myself in barbed wire.
Yeah.
Like the biggest dummy in the world. But yet and I blame the fans because you feel them. I'm telling you, Jeff, and I know some people may not understand this, but you feed off of them, just like you do on a concert or something like that.
Yes.
And I love it. You know, I've always got mad at wrestling shows. Fans come and they just sit there, and you know they'll be on their phone, and I'm thinking, you paid hard-earned money. You ain't gonna be tweeting out your girlfriend when I'm in that ring. I'll make you pay attention. So, and then we went crazy. I mean, it was just very, very emotional. It was a dramatic thing. You can't just go in there and hit a guy with something and expect to get a reaction. That don't last.
See, George, now I'm going to interject here for a second.
Okay.
Told you I wasn't going to do too much of that tonight, but see, that's what I like about the stuff you do. It goes back to the stuff we watched growing up.
Right.
And at some point, you were there in the stuff I was watching growing up.
That's exactly right.
And that's why you still keep, even though you're doing a new kind of wrestling, new in the grand scheme of things, it's not really new, but the hardcore
right
stuff, you do it still with the old school type of mentality.
Yes.
You know, it's not just get in the ring and bleed.
Right.
It's
and see, and I know you'll love this, Jeff. Fans, I won that match not with a baseball bat, not with a new move, but Jeff. Now I thought of this. I actually come up with a good idea, and the place went crazy. So we've been going at it 30 minutes. We have nothing left, and when you see this on tape later, he had laid a door, Jeff. People imagine this. This is the ring, and here's the railing that the fans are behind. Mm-hmm. He laid a door on the ring and the railing, a door, with the intentions of throwing this old fart through that door.
right.
Jeff, I catapulted him. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Up over that top rope, he went through that door, onto the floor. And I promise you, not one person out of 10,000 people said that was fake.
Right.
Because, buddy, it wasn't. And Jeff, so I went out stomping like Godzilla through Japan. I was stomping through the broken doors and tacks. And so I threw him back in the ring. And this is what I'm telling you about that moment, that emotional moment. I didn't have this planned to do this. But Jeff, he's laying there beaten. I'm gonna get all teary-eyed. And I see all the thumbtacks spread out all over the place. Guess what I do? This is Tom Cruise movie of the week stuff. You understand what I'm saying? This is Tom Hanks Lost on an Island stuff with a stupid volleyball. So, man, look at this. In all my pain and agony, I shoveled up the thumbtacks. And listen to this. I got a hand of them. And listen to this. I ain't saying I'm the smartest guy in the world, okay? Jeff, listen. I pulled open my claw glove, my blackjack mulligan claw glove, and I dropped thumbtacks
inside
the glove. I ain't saying it wasn't hurting, because it was hurting. And then I raised my hand up. You can see the thumbtack sticking through the glove and sticking in my hand. I just want to add that. Mm-hmm. And then when he turned around, Jeff, 1970, blackjack mulligan, I hooked him in the claw. Nobody in the WWE, they don't know what a claw is. AEW, nobody uses the claw hold anymore. Matter of fact, years ago, when I hooked the claw, somebody said, Fritz Von Erich, and I got mad. I said, no, it's Blackjack Mulligan, stupid. Learn your wrestling. So I hooked him in a claw. 1, 2, 3. And history was made with the claw hold. It took them, I ain't lying, when I got to the back, it took them an hour to get, like I got one guy that had to unwrap me. And listen, it's a whole lot harder unwrapping yourself in barbed wire in a cold dressing room without no people than out there in front of the fans.
Exactly.
So, but just a special moment. I tell you what, they brought all our stuff back. I had my T-shirt, my bandana. They brought Joey Janela. He wears these Macho Man sunglasses that are pretty tough. And I saw his glasses. I should have brought them. I saw his glasses on the table, so I got them. I thought, brother, I just gave you my life. I'm stealing your glasses, okay? So I had the ref. I said, I just ain't taking these glasses home. I said, go get him to sign them. So not only did I beat him half to death, I stole the man's glasses and made him autograph them. So I even got his glasses from him. So But just a special moment. Jamie, a lot of people have said how important it was to experience that. Because I'm telling you, last year it was with Nick Gage. And I'm going to tell you something. People still, that's what means more to me. It ain't about the money. I swear it's not. It's about people still coming up to me a year later saying, man, I still remember that match you had with Nick Gage. Mm-hmm. They do it with Ric Flair. I've told you, 40 years ago, me and Ric Flair's matches, people still come up and talk about that. So that's what I'm about. That's what I love doing.
I just wanted to ask this. Now, I know a little bit about this, but the audience does not. And guys, I'm kind of leaving me out of the picture here. I want George to concentrate on George's story, but I'll stick my head in every once in a while when I need to say something. You had dealings with Violent J from ICP.
Listen.
Now, I'm going to say something that this audience right here has never heard me say before. Brother, you got to tell me something. Go ahead.
Listen, folks, I've done a lot of things in my life, JC. I mean, I met Linda Blair, okay, the Exorcist, the prettiest woman that could probably kill you that I ever met. I mean, I've done some cool things, but to be a part, everybody knows ICP. They've been around forever. They're famous, but there's no surprise. I don't listen to the music. I never met them. I don't know who they are. Come to find out, 6-man tag match. Me and Ricky Morton and his son, Kerry Morton, are facing some GCW guys, Effie, I know I never say his name right, and his tag team partner, and Violent J, who a lot of you diehard fans will remember. Jeff, he done some WWF appearances, he's done some TNA appearances, but he's in their corner. And man, let me tell you something. Brother's got an entourage. Okay? Listen, I got one guy that follows me around, and I think I got an entourage. Violent J has got 60 people. I'm not making this up. Yeah. I mean, he's got 60 people. Just his merchandise tables alone. So, I tell you what I even done. Listen to this, folks. You think I'm not a good dad. My old phone, I can't even FaceTime. Right? So I text my oldest son, and I said, Lord George, you ain't going to believe who's 2 feet from me. And I didn't know if Lord George even knew him. He said, who? I said, ICP, Violent J. My son said, no, there's no way. He said, Dad, he got me through my high school years. I just didn't tell you because of, I didn't want you listening to his music. So I couldn't do it on my phone, so I grabbed one of the wrestlers' phones, and they set it up for FaceTime. Now listen to this, folks. If this don't make you cry on Christmas, if this ain't a Hallmark moment with Valerie Martinelli, folks, let's do it. So I'm in a dressing room with a bunch of ugly wrestlers, and I got a phone that's on FaceTime. Yeah? So I go over to the man, Violent J. I said, sir, you're going to think I'm crazy. I said, if you got a moment, could you please say hey to my son? I mean, this is like a moment. My son's 30-something years old. It's like a moment in time. So he stopped for a moment and talked to my son. I mean, that's cool. He could have walked off and said, man, get away from me, you crazy fella. But he talked to my son. But I share all that real quick because I got so much I want to tell these people. We got ready to go through the curtain. All right, here's Violent J and their team. And it's like, and folks, I want y'all to hear me on this now, and because I'm going to get a little serious here, it's like the Lord spoke and said, George, go pray with that man. Now listen to me, Jeff. Everybody knows I love to pray. That's no secret. But I'm fixing to go through the curtain, folks. And this is Violent J. I don't know anything about him. I don't know what his beliefs is. I don't care. And even I ain't gonna lie to you folks. I said, excuse me, Lord? Like, you mean now? Can't we do it later? No, now. So I go over to him, Violent J. Folks, listen to me. I'm not Superman. I get my feelings hurt. He could have easily said, get away from me. I just go over to him. And I simply said, his name's Joe. I said, Joe, we're getting ready to go to the ring, and I know we've just met. I said, man, I love to pray. And I said, can I pray with you? Now, here's where I'm ready for anything. His crew, his entourage could have grabbed me like a crazy man, Jeff, and pulled me back. You know what I'm saying? And folks, listen, I say this as an encouragement to you. That dressing room was full of wrestlers. Okay? It was packed. We wasn't in church. We was in the dressing room. So anyway, I didn't know what to expect. Jeff, he looked me right in the eye. The most emotional moment in my life. He reached up and grabbed my shoulders. This is Violent J of ICP. And he said, please pray for me. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. In my heart. And so I held his shoulders and we just prayed. Just a simple prayer. Not about what we've done wrong, not about anything, but just for the Lord to watch over us in his ring, to bless him and his family. And real quick, so we prayed. And they got up and he hugged me and said, thank you, man. And so we went to the ring and tore the house down. They made me an honorary member of ICP, Juggalo George. They painted my face. I didn't know how. I ain't painting it. So they said, go behind the curtain real quick. I said, okay, there's probably a lady there that's with him, right? That's going to paint, that paints his face. So I get back there and there's this sweet little girl with all this makeup. And she said, sit down. I sit down real quick while the match is going on. And she happens to say, well, you know, I've never done this. I said, excuse me? She said, I've never painted anybody's face. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I thought she was just going to do one line here and one line there. Like Kamala, you know, back in the day. But she painted me up. Next thing I'll go through the curtain and just listen. I know in his heyday, the Undertaker and the Road Warriors, matter of fact, we call it the Road Warrior Pop, where the crowd goes nuts. Yeah, when I came through, everybody knew I left in the middle of the match. When I went through that curtain and those folks saw my face, Insane Clown Posse, man, they went nuts. I mean, it was just a moment they didn't expect, and everybody was smiling for just a moment. Listen to me, folks. For just a moment, the world forgot about what's going on outside the walls of that arena. And that's what my whole career, my whole life has been about. For just a moment, man, they all believed for a little bit. And I told you earlier, you know, I didn't want to disrespect him or their legacy. You know, here's this goofball, this old man walking around with messed up face paint. But I can tell, you know, when your eyes, when I first registered him and he registered me and he nodded, man, I knew he was okay with it. Mm-hmm. And then, most important thing, because I'm a businessman first, it's over, we get the big win, we're all in the ring, holding hands, and Violent J's going to leave. But see, I ain't got enough pictures with the brother yet. Mm. So I said, Joe, come back here for a minute. So he turns around, comes back, and in the middle of the ring, listen to me, Jeff, I grab his wrist, we do the old baby face thing, you know, and I make him turn to all four sides. Man, I told you an hour later, he had posted just a picture, not the video. He posted a picture on his social media. Yeah. My guy walks up to me, Dre, and says, look at this. I said, what is it? He said, 10,000 views, 11,000, 12,000 views in less than an hour. So somebody knows him. But here's my thing real quick, and then I'm going to close out on that story. So I was so proud of that picture that I made a new friend. Okay, we prayed. And he heard the name of Jesus. See, that's all I try to do, Jeff. He heard the name of Jesus. He may not have heard it in a long time, but he heard the name of Jesus when I prayed. So I posted that picture. So glad. Some idiot, some goof come on there and said, let's don't tell George what all that man's involved in. And Jeff, that made me mad. It really made me mad. First of all, shut up. It's my picture. Be quiet about it. And then it's like the guy was almost making a joke of it. He wasn't even there, for heaven's sake. He didn't even come to Wrestlecade. So anyway, he said, let's just don't tell George who that is. And that really, man, I had to calm down, Jeff, because first of all, and I'll tell you folks right here real quick, is the blood of Jesus doesn't care where you've been. I'm going to preach. It doesn't matter what you've been involved in. It'll clean you up. Nobody was as bad off as I was. So anyway, to end that story, I'm Googling ICP to learn their music. Jeff, you may open up for us. Okay? ICP comes to Charlotte. I'm gonna let ANTiSEEN open up for me and the Juggalos. But what's so funny is, so the next 2 days, what I'm saying, everybody call me Juggalo George. So anyway, so 50 years from now, folks, 100 years from now, they can't take away the fact that I prayed with Violent J of ICP. Man.
That's right, amen.
No. So, any question real quick, Jeff? I got so much. While I'm getting something out. Okay? Look here. I got another gift, real quick. We're gonna use up.
Okay.
We're gonna use up all your data.
I do have a question here, and I'm glad that John Johnson asked this question because we're halfway through the show now, and we need to mention this.
Oh man.
He says, George, what does it feel like to be an action figure now?
Oh my goodness. You know, I joke with people, you know, 40, it only took me 41 years, okay?
Right.
And we've all, as a wrestler, I don't care who you are, you've always dreamed about having an action figure of yourself. Yeah, my grandbabies, they're tired of playing with Randy Orton and 14 different Brock Lesnar's, okay? They want their pawpaw. So my good friend, Shane Martin, I mean, he contacted me, you know, a few months ago, and he said, George, let's do this thing. And I've heard it several times over my career. It just never happened.
Right.
So I, of course, always are interested with the ideal, and I want it to happen. But Shane is the first one to keep it going.
To get it rolling.
Yes, to get it rolling. And folks, if you think you just make an action figure, and you know, Jeff, and all the stuff you produce and make and gimmicks and all that, man, it's a process. It's a process. And so he has been open to me. He's walked with me every step of the way, Jeff, and I've had all the input in it, and it is. I'm very humbled to have this thing. And folks are saying, even at Wrestlecade last few days, everybody want to know where you get it at. And I told them the best thing to do right now is georgesouth.com, okay? And that's my website. And if people can just go to that, the first thing that pops up is the official order blank from my man Shane. And it's got his email, it's got any information. And if you can just remember georgesouth.com, and you pull that right up, and it's got where you can order it from, the pre-sales, the cutoff date. There is going to be a cutoff date in December in a few weeks. So we're very
December
excited.
10th.
I'm pretty sure it's December 10th, around that time. That's on my website also.
So listen here now. On December 11th, if you go, dang, I should have got me a George South action figure. You ain't going to be able to.
You ain't going to.
So if you want your George South action figure, you got to do it tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have until December 10th.
Yeah.
And then you don't have a chance anymore. And everyone's going to have their George South action figure.
That's right.
And some of us are going to have extras, and you're going to want to buy one. And we're going to go, okay, yeah, I'll sell you one. I'll sell you one for $250 right now. Well, dang, they weren't, but
That's right.
That was then. That's when you could have got them for that. But now you can't.
See, Jeff, one of our great listeners already found it. See how simple it is?
There it is, right there.
He just pulled it up. Look here, Jeff. Look here. There's my daughter.
Yep.
My grandbaby is watching.
Abigail.
Yeah, look. And Raylan said I got her bandana on. She's ticked off at me. So I got my grandbaby watching. So, but there, look how quick he pulled it up. That's
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. We appreciate that.
John, thank you so much. But look here, real quick, Jeff. Look. This is one of a kind that I'm going to present to you.
All righty.
Now listen, nobody sees this. This is like mafia information that I'm going to lay on you, okay?
All right.
And if anybody asks, you didn't get it from me.
All right.
Right?
Yep. And it doesn't matter that it's being broadcast all over
that doesn't.
the internet right now. But I'll still deny it.
You deny it, okay? Because I'm going to deny it.
All right.
But you know, y'all have a set list up on stage.
Exactly,
You know, all the great bands have a set list. Well, this is our set list, like in a dressing room. You know, they have to put up on the wall just so the guys will know what match they are, who the referee is for that match. Well, Jeff, and it is autographed by Mr. Number One. And I even dated it, okay, October 2023. I mean, November. Jeff, look here. This is the actual set list up till, there's a bunch of them up there, but I took the one up to my match.
All right.
So, fans, I'm going to show you this officially. Am I got it? Officially from Wrestlecade.
There's a little bit of a delay, and then you can see what you did.
Jeff, I even left the duct tape at the top that it hung on the wall with.
Man, that's authenticity.
Okay.
I like that.
Buddy, this came, I wasn't going to take it off. I signed it. This was hung on the wall, Wrestlecade Super Show, and I autographed it and I dated it. So that's one of a kind.
Thank you very much, George.
To you, my friend. So that's it. Now, there was a bunch more, of course, but I stopped up here at my match. So, real quick, Jeff, I got to show you some stuff. Now, this I got to take back home, but I promised her that I'd give her a quick plug. Because everybody knows our battles, well, our success that we had with the Slam Buddies. Jeff, Baby Doll got
Oh,
hers
she's
in.
got her own. That was
She's
good.
got hers. That did a heck of a job. Didn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks really good.
So, folks, I just wanted to show y'all this because I know Baby Doll's going to be watching. This is Baby Doll's first ever Slam Buddy. And so, man, they did a great job. When she gave me this one over the weekend, what a great hair day Baby Doll's got. So she has these available whenever you see her. But I told her we'd give her a great plug. But Jeff, listen. Oh, two more things real quick. Folks, I'm like Santa Claus. Jeff, look at this. I don't know if I've seen one in here, but this is the beginning of a collection. All right. Jeff, wrestling fans in the Carolinas remember that Dusty Rhodes worked a deal with Mela Yala back in the day. Yeah. There is 12 of these cans that are impossible to find. Lucky people have the whole set. I know one guy that's got the whole set and it's never been opened. But Jeff, this comes, because I have two of them, this comes out of my collection. Folks, let me show you real quick. All of the Mid-Atlantic wrestlers were put on the side of a Mela Yala can. Okay? Now people say, so what? But Jeff, in the 80s, none of this stuff was done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody even knew that Mela Yala had done this. But this is Road Warrior Animals. Okay? Now, hopefully, by the time I'm back on here again, I'll have the other 10. Okay? But folks, this is the real deal. Okay? Mela Yala, that's Road Warrior, and it's been around a while. But man, I want you to put that up in here too.
Oh, yeah, I most certainly will. George, you honor me so much every time.
Now look
you
at this.
come.
You're gonna love this. First time ever, not just an action figure, but look at this. Oh, there's our boy Shane Martin right there. Okay? Listen to this. Jeff, I tell you, a lot of good things. I mean, listen, folks, you love the Lord. Lord loves you. And He blesses me. Listen to this, Jeff. You ain't even seen this. Of course, I ate it. George South ice cream.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that. Jeff, listen to me, brother. And you know what's so funny? I ain't gonna be able to say. Oh yeah, out of all of the taste and the kinds of ice cream, folks, I don't know if you can see it on that lid, but mine was like bourbon ice cream.
Bourbon pecan.
Bourbon pecan. I thought, brother, I ain't took a drink of anything in 30 years. So, but it was so delicious, so delicious. But Jeff, it's all cleaned up. But I want you to have this, folks. Listen, this was good. This was neat. And I thought, oh Lord, I done had everything now. But to have ice cream and an action figure in the same year, but you get, and that's cleaned up. Ice cream's gone out of it.
Right.
But anyway, I'm going to present that to you too. So
Well,
we're going
man,
to have the George
honored.
South wing.
I've got so much George South. Man, you people don't know. I got the prototype of the very first George
exactly
South
right.
Slam Buddy ever made. I got it right here.
You sure do.
I got a pair of cowboy boots.
Yes, you
that you
do.
bought when you were with Rock and Roll Express.
Yes, you do. Like Elvis had a jungle room, we're going to have like a Juggaloo George room.
Yeah, Juggaloo George room.
Now listen, one more thing I want to show the people. This is for our buddy Steve. Okay, you know that I love to death. Him and his wife, and I told him about him last time we were all together. I told him about. A lot of people don't know this, but guess what I brought? Of course, I got to take these back because there's only one of a kind. Listen, yeah, and I know you remember. Look at here. Look at this, Jeff.
Oh yeah.
Now look here. People's going to say.
Before we get started, I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
Look right up there. There's one still in the pack.
Oh, do we know what I'm going to talk about? Do we know which one that is?
I don't know. Because I never knew there was an option.
Folks, we didn't plan this. We didn't plan this. But folks, 2 AA Arn Anderson Galoob dolls, which were very, very popular in the 80s. You can say, so what? One's got a belt. I couldn't find the other belt. Identical figures. Folks, here's a little inside scoop that nobody knows but me. Listen to this. And I'm going to show you the backs. There's Arn Anderson. See the back? Tights. If you notice, he's like me. There's a tad bit of bald spot on the back of the brother's head. See that? I didn't do this. It hadn't been played with. That's how it came out. Well, to share with you folks how strong the 4 Horsemen was. Big. Arn didn't like it. I don't blame him. I know my action figure, my boy Shane. I said, listen, I know I got a bald spot, okay?
All right.
But I don't want no bald spot on my action figure.
Right.
So I know how Arn felt. Folks, listen to me. Arn did not like this. He did not like the bald spot. So guess what?
They ceased production.
He fixed it. Can you believe that? He said, I want it fixed. So guess what they did, folks? I didn't do this. The Galoob did this. 4 Horsemen. Yeah, that's how power the 4 Horsemen had. Look at this, folks. And the history about it, the comical thing about it, look at that, Jeff. You can tell it.
He's still there. He's still there.
Folks, I got to show you real quick. This is for my boy Steve. Now, I told him about him. So, folks, look. They painted over it. They didn't put another head on it. They painted over it. Okay? Now, folks, don't go run through your kids' toy boxes or your collection that you've got put away trying to find this one. This one, I'll just let it leak out here on the internet, is worth a lot of money. If you got it with the head painted, the ball spot. Now look, I'll put them both together. Steve, this is for you, my buddy. He's probably out touring with Kiss right now, but I got to tell it. Look at that, Jim. That's power. When you can get a toy company to change.
Yep.
The money it must have cost to change it, but he was happy with this one. So we got the Arn, the ball spot, he didn't like, and then we went and fixed it. With just a little can of spray paint.
There you go.
So nobody even knew about that glue. Now listen, when Mr. Number One George South's figure gets here, it's going to be like the Galoob style. And my boy Shane will answer any of those questions. Well, I tell all these guys, Arn, y'all going to have to lose to me now. Because my figure's coming. I ain't losing to nobody else.
Right, I hear you.
Okay? So anyway, just some stuff I wanted to share with everybody. Jim, of course, I'm going to put Baby Doll right back in here. And of course, all of this will be your gift. And man, folks, listen, I just want to share one more thing with you real quick. You know, and I shared that story about the VHS tapes and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not a jerk at my merchandise table, but Sunday morning, real quick, after all the wrestling, we do one big show Sunday night. But Sunday morning, years ago, we started a worship service. Sunday morning, there in the Bit Convention Center. Come as you are, no fancy dress, don't care what you believe in, what church you go to. We just open up a little, like a ballroom, and we just set chairs anywhere. Nothing fancy. And we done it years ago because people are they're in town for the whole weekend, and we just opened up free, you know, and we opened it up for people that just want to go to church while they're, you know, enjoying wrestling. And so there's so much going on. It's so to the pointish. Like, listen to this, Jeff. When I finished Steamboat and Sergeant Slaughter, okay, it's the 40th anniversary of that famous match in Greensboro where Slaughter and Kernodle fought Steamboat and Youngblood. That made history. It was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in a cage match. So it was the 40th anniversary. So right after church service, you go to the next room, and then there's a Q&A with Steamboat and Slaughter. They had the NWA big world belts in front of them. Most beautiful moment in the world. But, so we do the worship service. And it's just me sharing a little bit about my life. I shared the story of Paul in the Bible, one of my favorite stories. He's on trial, and he finally gets to speak. Like up to this point, listen to this, Jim, I'm going to preach for me. Up to this point, they wouldn't let Paul speak. Everybody said they thought what he did. They thought. But this time, Paul gets to talk. All right? Bible says he warms up. Now listen to this real quick. End of the story. He goes up to the judge. He said, Judge, you've heard my story. He said, what's your story? He said, you're a smart man. You're a judge. That's what I tell them. Oh, we got 200 wrestling fans. I said, he told the judge, what's your story? Everybody's got a story, Jeff. You know that. Everybody got a story. You may not want to remember it, but then he just laid it on the line. He said, I'm going to ask you, Judge. He said, I know you're a smart man. He said, you have to know who Jesus is. And then listen, the saddest word in the Bible is the judge said, almost. Oh, I got goosebumps. What the judge said was, almost I believed. Folks, listen to me, almost don't matter unless you playing horseshoes, and it might matter. But that's how that kind of ended, man. I had those people They were just listening, and that's how that ends. Almost, that judge. He was this close. Man. But here's why I share that, folks. A family of 5. I've never seen them before in my life. They come into the worship service. They sit on the front row. I've been doing this worship service 10, 11 years, The family sat there. I knew they were a little bit nervous because they'd never been. Before we start, the man tells me, he said, we've come to every year at Wrestlecade. He said, but I'm embarrassed to say that I've never been to your service. And I don't even harp on that. I said, man, I'm glad you're here now. So anyway, I shared my story, man, hooping and hollering, had the same clothes on, David Lee Roth band, and my grandbaby's bandana,
Right.
And so I just shared and we prayed, had a great time. And I just said, if anybody wants me to pray with them, okay? This family of 5 that I never met, Jeff, the dad comes up. He said, man, he said, because I told him, no matter what you've done wrong, turn around. I know I've turned this into a preaching sermon, but I just told him, the man come up to me, he said, I'm going through a lot of stuff. He said, would you pray with me? Man, I just met. So we prayed. Now listen to this here. We prayed. They left after the event. I never thought I'd see this family again. He contacts me this morning on Facebook. He's how great. See, I fuss a lot about Facebook and people and all that, but it's good too. You know what I'm saying? So this dad of this family has contacted me, and we connected today, and he just shared a little bit of his story, and just good people like us. They work hard, and they struggle like we do in this crazy world. But that was all because of wrestling. That's my story, yeah. That's all because of wrestling. I got to pray with Violent J of ICP because of pro wrestling. And folks, listen to me. For 41 years, everybody's told me that you can't. You're the one that calmed me down when the guy on the internet said, well, I think George is a fake Christian. He calls everybody a goof. And that really, folks, listen, when the lead singer of the wildest rock and roll band in the world tells you to calm down, you probably need to calm down, okay? But, so everybody's telling me this. I hear it all the time. Wrestling, there's no good in it. Wrestling is just bad, and there is a lot of bad in it. But, because of pro wrestling, I got to share these wonderful stories. That's what brought me and you together in our 40-year friendship. Yeah, and it's just, when I hadn't seen Madman Pondo, one of your good friends, I saw him, I've met him years ago, but to see him again, these conventions are good for us, to see our old friends. And man, I went over and hugged him. I was so glad to see him, one of the toughest men I ever met. And first thing we started talking about was ANTiSEEN. I thought that was just so cool that he'd ask about you, and it's all because of pro wrestling. So I shared all that to say, folks, man, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And I told I told those 200 people, I said, listen, if I'm fake, y'all in trouble. Because I try to share 100 Bibles a week, okay? So and I know that I'm being goofy, but if that ain't good, then everybody else is in trouble. I'm just telling you that right now. But it's all because of professional wrestling, Jeff. That's what blesses my heart, folks, is I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know how many times I'm going to let Joey Janela hit me with a chair or a door from Lowe's. But, man, just to see those people smile, that's what I did for 5 days. People kept coming up and said, George, have you slept? George, have you slept? They think I got a sleeping problem. I ain't got no sleeping problem. I don't want to sleep. Not during that time. I got home from the road. Jeff, listen to this. I got home, my old cat, my old mountain goat cat, I think it's mountain goat, gimmick. That cat's as old as I am. The cat ain't came around me. Like I've been gone for a week, so the cat don't even know who I am. But I came in last night, Sunday night late, threw my bag down. It was so funny because I put everything into one of my guys' cars. And Jeff, I'm getting home. I've been gone all week. There's no food. I don't have my milk in the house. So I tell my guy, we got to go through cookout. It's late. I got to have something to eat. But Jeff, I literally had so many empty tubs in the car. You know how it is, man. And he's driving, and I was literally like this. I mean, I had my wrestling bag on front of me. I had tubs on my head, just trying to get home. I didn't want to leave nothing there. We go through the drive-thru, and that lady's just looking at me like, what y'all just do, break in, Best Buy? And so we get the food, and it smells so good I can't get my hands up yet. I can't get my hands up to eat. So I told my guys to stop right here in this parking lot. So it looked like a yard sale. I said, come over and get the stuff off me so we could eat. So anyway, I said all that. I get home. It's dark. All my neighbors are in bed, Jeff. It's quiet. And all of a sudden the music stops. There's no fireworks. There's no cheer. There's no... And without Jesus, and I don't say it's a good thing, but I know why wrestlers turn to drinking and stuff, because you really do, and you try to fill that void that I just had for a week. Mm-hmm. And I was like the man, you know what I'm saying? I just had 10,000 people cheering for me, and then all of a sudden I got a cat looking at me in the hallway like, excuse me, who are you? And then it's darkness, there's no lights, there's no music. So without Jesus Christ filling that void, Jeff, I'm telling you, he does. And so, and it's a hangover, basically, for the last 2 days. You just fiddle around, unpack, and you're waiting for the next roller coaster to take off. And I'll go back to work in a day or two, but just that emotional up here and then down. But without Jesus Christ, I couldn't handle it. I don't think anybody could. So just an amazing Wrestlecade 2020-30 was probably, I've done it all, Jeff, real quick. I've done the Great American Bashes with Dusty Rhodes. I've done the Bunkhouse Stampedes. I've done every kind of big event in pro wrestling. And Wrestlecade, my buddies Tracy Myers and Brian Hawks, Wrestlecade and meeting those fans is probably the best personal pro wrestling event from start to finish. And man, I love it. I mean, I Teddy Long gets there and he doesn't know where to go. So I love helping, showing, like Teddy Long, my good friend for many, many years. He refereed that famous match with me and Ric Flair back in the day. So I helped him get situated, He doesn't know where to go, and just little things to see some of our friends. And the joke now is, for the last 2 years, I got something, paint on my face. First it was Great Muda. And now Insane Clown Posse makeup. So I don't know what next year's going to be like.
Well, George, I'm going to tell you what. I'm glad you do what you do. I'm glad you keep on doing what you do. And I'm going to be one of the ones that watch and see what you got for us next year and the year after that and 10 years after that down the road.
Man, they're starting to call me Mr. Wrestlecade, and I love that and I respect that, but I just do my job. And I've been blessed, you have to be in some of the most memorial and memorable events of Wrestlecade. I mean, how many people can say that they danced with Violent J, in the middle of a wrestling ring? So, but let me tell you, he's the coolest guy in the world. I told you earlier, Fez, listen, he didn't know us from anybody, but he knew us in a 6-man. He picked up his phone. Listen to me real quick, and I'll close with this. He picked up his phone. Next thing I know, he ordered the crew official ICP merchandise. I mean, I'm talking their own brand of jerseys and stuff. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. His people must have been, I'm used to people saying, well, I'll put you on hold. It's going to be another 8 months before you can get them shirts. But boom, I mean, I'm talking embroidered, not logo, not iron-ons yet. They was embroidered. Wrestlecade and the name Brian Hawks got a jersey, a basketball jersey with Hawks on the back. I mean, it's just boom, just like that, man. So anyway, just a great, but we're friends. And if I never see the man again, the only thing that will matter is that time that I spent with him. And yeah, we danced, had fun in the ring, but man, I prayed with him. And I just said that, folks, not to brag. I said that to encourage you. There may be somebody at work that y'all want to pray with, and you're afraid. I was afraid. This is like the man, okay? But I'm telling you, man, once you do it, it's like, wow. And you'd be amazed, like me, Jeff, that people that really need prayer, that want you to pray, they just don't know how to ask for it. They don't know if someone's going to laugh at them. And so, because I told one guy to pray for him, if he needed it, he says, well, how many of your people do I have to go through to get to you? And I turned my head, what? He said, well, I know all y'all got people that we got to go through. I said, bro, I ain't got no people. I said, you contact me, and I will answer, and then I'll pray for you. And we're going to see. He hasn't done it yet, but and I know a lot of these guys, wrestle stuff, athletes, they got people that you got to go through. But, man, I'm my people. I ain't paying nobody else, Jeff.
Here we go.
Folks, real quick, we got to close this down. I want y'all to see this thing. Jeff, I'm going to have you hold one end of it, and I want to show everybody this. This sucker's heavy, folks. And I hope y'all get to see it. We've got NWA, and WCW over here. Okay, there we go. And then we got WCW, NWA, we got EWA, which was my promotion. The GCW, of course, are not the great guys at Game Changer Wrestling, who I love working for. That's the old Georgia Championship Wrestling. Right. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Solely. And then down here, we got Mid-Atlantic. I think on your end, we got Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, Jeff. Mm-hmm. And I think, of course, famous WWF. That's when it was WWF. But what a great, great gift for me that they made. And I know I'm the worst holder-upper in the world. But I wanted to show that to everybody, Jeff. And thank you, Andy McDaniels, for this precious gift. My grandbabies try to pull it. They can't lift it, so they just drag it across the floor. And they know, do you know what this is? But what a precious gift. But folks, I'm gonna show. I didn't even talk about the most important part. If you can see myself in there, it just says I've been everywhere, but heaven is my home. And there we go, right there. See,
yes, sir.
It says George South. I've been to every place in the world, but heaven is my home. Man. So what a great, Andy, I just wanted to, I know he's watching, I just wanted to give him a nice little plug for that, buddy. So, man, I have all kinds of stuff. It'll take me a week to get everything out of here. So, thank you, Jeff. I don't know. Here it is. I'm trying to close it down. Don't make me close it down if we ain't got to. I got another story. But anyway.
Well,
I didn't answer no questions. Any questions real quick, Jeff? You got any?
Let's see real quick.
People probably done heard. People probably can answer it better than me.
Has anybody got a question for George right quick?
Abigail put Raylan to bed. Raylan's on her 5th. My grandbaby's on her 5th Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Before she goes to bed.
We'll give it a few minutes here.
Okay. If anybody does, if not, I understand. Lord, y'all have heard my big mouth for a while, but I never give y'all a chance to talk.
Well, George, I'm gonna tell you what. I consider it quite an honor to be associated with you.
No, you and your family. I ain't just telling you, Jeff. You know, one thing I've learned in wrestling is, and I joke about it, is people. I've always, old timers used to tell me, when you finish wrestling, you can go out there and do any job you want to do. You can sell. I used to tell you when people used to come knock on your door and try to sell you encyclopedias, sell you vacuum cleaners, I used to sell them something. My daughter said, "Man, they come to sell you spray to clean you a driveway, and you done sold them 2 T-shirts." So, but I know people is what I'm saying, right. And you and your beautiful wife, First Lady, is just first class. Yeah, all right. And you're as real as you can get. So,
there's a question here. This is from Jim Earhart. What is the largest crowd you have been in front of, and who was your opponent?
First time I ever went to WWF television and wrestled for Vince McMahon was a TV. It was Monday Night Raw, and I wrestled 1, 2, 3 Kid, who's X-Pac.
Right.
And that was probably 40 for me. First time ever. I think it was like 40,000 in that place. Now, I did a youth rally with Steen at the Pontiac Silverdome, and they had 26,000 teenagers, if you can believe it, in that place. So, pretty big crowds.
All right, I got a few more questions here. Okay. We you know what? We'll go a little bit longer.
Okay, I would love that. No, I
love
it.
Question. Adam Wolf says, George, tell an Ernie Ladd story. Do you have an Ernie Ladd
you know
story?
what? The most amazing thing about Ernie Ladd is, first of all, he was a huge man. He played all those years in the football, NFL, and his knees were kind of bad even when he got into wrestling. But a lot of you folks, I love the man because not only was he a very strong Christian when, towards the end when he passed away, but most thing about, everybody used to ask him, well, why are you wrestling when you're playing football? And he always told that story that I love, that he made more money in pro wrestling than he ever made in the NFL. And I thought, wow, you don't hear about that. But his last appearance was in Charlotte at one of the conventions, and his health was real bad. And what was so amazing is they brought him in. He's in a wheelchair. It was hard for him. He was still a huge man. Brought him into his table, and some of the younger fans, they didn't know who he was. Which was good for us because he was at his table early by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to go over and spend time with him.
Right.
So, but Andre the Giant used to say that nobody rivaled Andre's height or his. They were a good match together. Andre's the perfect good giant, and then you got Ernie Ladd.
Ernie was so good on the microphone.
Oh, unbelievable! He was one of what we call in our business, and I know you've heard, Jeff, he could talk a crowd in. Ric Flair was that way. Forget the actual wrestling match. Just his promos would talk in a good crowd. Ernie Ladd was very special.
All right, we got a couple more here.
Okay, I
Let's see.
love this.
Clinton Zilla wants to know most grateful person you ever got the job for.
Probably any of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah?
Any of them. You know, J.J. Dillon even says he considered me a Four Horseman because they beat me up every week. So I thought, man, what a great compliment that is. He said, yeah, George is a Four Horseman, and we beat him up every week. But any combination of the Four Horsemen was always so appreciative. Arn used to tell me all the time before the match, he'd say, you know, George, you should be beating us. That's how cool and so laid back he was. You know, so humble. All of the Four Horsemen.
Brad Mullins wants to know, when will George be back on BOT? You got to tell me something.
Oh man.
Well, I guess I can tell him that.
Well, yeah. I tell you, I want to bring the figure. We're going to put up another little chair here.
Yeah, when the figure comes out, let's get you back on.
We will. I want to bring it personally and let the people see it. What we've been talking about. So, it's what we got to get him a little ANTiSEEN hat. Okay. We're going to get my figure a little ANTiSEEN hat.
Marvin Haywood asked, George, who is your favorite wrestler to have a match with?
And I've said this many, many times. It was the late, great Brad Armstrong. I'm going to tell you. And I'll say that till the day I die. That whole family. You know, I used to joke with you, Jeff, that I used to ask Brad, you know, why'd your mama bathe y'all in? Because every one of them could wrestle. I mean, from Bullet, the dad, to the youngest. I said, I bet your mama can throw a arm drag. But Brad was the smooth. Brad made getting into the ring an art for him. That's how good he is.
I got to see Brad Armstrong wrestle quite a bit.
Man, and you know what's so special? The friendship I made with him. Of course, when he passed away, I still stay in touch. I've shared this with you. His daughter, she just graduated college. His beautiful wife, Lori. I still stay in touch with them. I send them a card, you know, and just I stay. It's the friendships. Yeah, the wrestling comes and goes, but the friendships. And I always told Brad that I would check on them and take care of them. But Brad was the best ever. I mean, just period. You know, WCW gave him all these stupid gimmicks, like the Candyman, Arachnaman, made him into a Spider-Man.
Right.
And he wouldn't complain. He would just go out there and get it over. And they hated it because it's like they almost wanted him to fail. And he was so good at what he did. He was acting so much like Spider-Man as Arachnaman that the comics stopped him, not for a cease and desist, for trademark, but that the kids that were buying the comics were confused because this Spider-Man on WCW was not following in the storylines of the comic books. Can you believe that? So Brad had to stop it because he was Spider-Man. And then, of course, I think that was put on and covered his whole $1 million body. And WCW covers it up with a costume.
I want to ask you something, man. Do you think that they purposely did some of that stuff?
Yes.
To a lot of the Southern guys?
Yes, I do. I totally believe that. Because everything, of course, is right place, right time. But just because, I tell guys, it's just because you're in the main event don't mean you're the best wrestler on the card. It just means you got lucky and something happened. A lot of the times, the best wrestlers were in the first and second and third match. Especially in our younger days when we used to go to the Coliseum and everything. Because usually when I was a kid, the first, second match would be a veteran from some other place. You know what I'm saying? That you've seen in the magazine. So yeah, they definitely did that.
All right. Mondo wants to know, what leather vest were you wearing the other night to the ring?
Man, I love that thing. 2 years ago, we did a big War Games in AML. 5-on-5. We had J.J. Dillon in my corner. And man, one of the most special moments of my life is a sweet lady, Carrie Craven is her name. She surprised all of us and made my team the same vest. and we didn't tell her what to do. She just took something out of each other's life. Like my partner C.W. Anderson, he's got Rottweilers, and he's raised them, and so she put Rottweiler, and then mine, she put a bunch of wings from Journey. Oh, it's the beautifulest thing in the world, and she just put "Don't Start Believing" on it. And what's funny is everywhere I wear it to the ring, it says War Games.
Yeah.
But I'm not into War Games, but she surprised us.
That's
and I don't know
sweet.
if we're supposed to give them back to the company, but I didn't. I left with mine. So, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Right here, our man Shane Martin wants to ask if you could give a good Rocky King story.
Listen, Rocky was my best friend in the business. Rocky, me and Rocky was around each other longer than our families. I mean, I spent more time with Rocky. And the most, one of my favorite things is that Dusty Rhodes was going to give Rocky a push. He was going to let him tag with the Boogie Woogie Man. And I remember they wanted Rocky to do a promo. So it was so funny because Boogie is the greatest promo guy in the world, but he let Rocky talk. So all Rocky could come up with is he said, because he worked out all the time. I remember Rocky said, man, I'm ready for this match. There's going to wrestle Midnight Express. Rocky said, man, I've been down the street to Gold's Gym, and I'm getting this pump on. And he said, I'll be ready for the Midnight Express. Well, the next day, just a simple promo, next day, this huge crate was delivered to the Crockett office. Big old wooden crate like you see out of the cartoons. It said Rocky King on it. They opened it up, and Gold's Gym, somebody from Gold's Gym in management had heard Rocky plug them, so they sent him all this stuff.
Wow.
Free t-shirts, free shorts, free protein, free... You wouldn't believe this stuff. Gym bags will go gym. So all the wrestlers are saying, oh. So for the next 6 months, every promo was either a gym or a restaurant that they went to, but it never happened with any of us like it did. But Gold's Gym heard that. That's how strong that TV was, and they mailed him a crate full of merchandise. So then all of a sudden, all the wrestlers changed their promos. Instead of going to Charlotte, man, I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts before I go on the road. They never got no donuts or nothing.
Well, Jim wants to know, did Rocky King ever win a match?
Oh, yeah. Me and him, a lot of fans don't remember, Dusty tagged us. We went to Kansas City, right? Remember right when Miami Vice with Don Johnson, all of them came out? Well, Dusty sent me and Rocky King as a tag team. I still have the old ring jackets. I may bring one next time I come. But he sent us to Kansas City as Kansas City Vice. Man, and me and Rocky. We had the Nelson Royal's wife made our jackets. We had these. Remember Don Johnson wore these, not a blazer like this, but he wore those kind of sports coats and rolled the sleeves.
And they rolled the sleeves.
Yes, yeah. So me and Rocky found 2 of those at Goodwill and had Nelson Royal's wife put some logos and stuff on it. So we were Kansas City Vice, me and Rocky King. And we won a lot out there together.
That's great. Well, I guess that's the end of the questions.
But we lived together. That's what I miss. The young wrestlers now, Jeff, like you starting out in a band, me and Rocky, we slept in our car many times. We'd get the cheapest motel and would split everything, would split a hamburger, just trying to save money on the road. And see, that step in our journey, it wasn't where we're going to end up, but it was that journey that I remember the most. And the boys, now these young guys ain't even they don't even travel together. They don't even understand what I talk about when I say travel together. But me and Rocky, we needed each other. Rock and Roll Express, who may be making big money, which they were, they'd always come up and give us a 20 or 50 or something. Didn't even say a word, just come over and put a 20 in our hand. Flair done that to me because they knew the underneath guys wasn't making much money. Because see, folks, real quick, there was no contracts back then. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There was no guaranteed contract. If the fans didn't come, we didn't make no money. Yeah. So that, and I know contracts are good, but it's also spoiled a lot of, not just wrestlers, but athletes, because most of them, yeah, they work hard, but even if they don't, the check's in the mail. See, our check was never in the mail, Jeff. We had to go out there and bust our butt every night, for them people to come back and see us.
Yep.
So
all right,
I miss that.
We got one more here.
Okay.
Actually, we got 2. Okay, Kelly, man, we'll keep going.
Oh, no, lay them on me.
Callie Hellstrom, my main from out around California town, wants to know, did you know Matt Bourne or have any stories about him?
Man, he was tough as shoe leather. You know, his
Yeah.
dad, Tony Bourne, was a big-time shooter. But, you know, when I got around Matt Bourne, is he was doing the Big Josh thing in WCW, where he was a lumberjack.
Yeah.
And that was just another thing you talked about. Here's this great amateur, great wrestler that had drew all this money. All of a sudden, they make him into a lumberjack. Matt Bourne used to say in the dressing room, I don't even have an axe. You know, but his gimmick they portrayed wanting the fans to believe, the fans didn't believe it. But his finish was the hardest thing in the world that hurt me the most, and he just couldn't help it, is you're laying there in the corner, and he jumped way off the top rope and set on you with his butt.
Right.
Now, his feet tried to break but he's 255-pound man. And I used to brace. I didn't wrestle him much, but I hated that finish.
Right.
He could have done it. Hey, people think light bulbs and thumbtacks. Listen, Big Josh sat on top of him.
Marvin wants to know, did you ever cross paths with Brody?
Yes, I did. The only time I ever seen Bruiser Brody was in Georgia Championship Wrestling. And that's when there was, WWF was still didn't like nobody, but you could go anywhere you wanted to. And Georgia Championship Wrestling, Cablevision was just taking off. And Satellite, nobody ever heard of Satellite. Tommy Rich was, I'll tell people to this day, Tommy Rich was the biggest baby face in the world on Georgia Championship Wrestling. Before Hogan, before Flair, before anybody. Shawn Michaels, Tommy Rich, because he was on that Satellite. Remember that? Techwood Drive, man. And when that Satellite, nobody had heard of Satellite TV. But Brody came into TV that day. And I remember he kept to his big man. But I remember he came, he dressed to himself, and they put him in the ring with this, he was a young guy, but he was kind of a burly guy, and that guy, well, not Brody, but the guy he worked was a complete jerk. I never met him, but you can just tell in the dressing room, he's loud. I think he really thought in his mind he's going to go out there and beat Brody. Yeah, I'm the one going to go over. And that didn't go too good.
Yeah.
That didn't go too good.
I can imagine.
But here's something real quick that I wish fans, maybe by the time I'm here next time, you can answer for me is, do you know that everything that Bruiser Brody had, his wrestling Heidelberg briefcase, his boots, his vest, his chain, all of his paycheck stubs, it is in a storage building. Jeff, they did one of these TV shows where the Storage Wars or something, where they go find something there. And his wife and Brody's son took them cameramen to this storage building. Jeff, it would break your heart because I always loved Brody, and I thought this is going to be the greatest episode in the world. She raises it up like where you keep your lawnmower in. I mean, she raises it up, and there's all of it. It ain't on shelves. It's just she was going picking stuff out of the floor. Said, "Yeah, this is his last paycheck stuff from Japan," and I said all that to say, I would have thought some collector, maybe since then somebody has, but it wasn't too long ago they did that episode. I just thought some collector should try to get their hand. Maybe she don't want to sell it. Maybe the son don't want to sell it. But that is a lot of stuff to be in that old warehouse. And it ain't like one of these air-conditioned, things either. It's just a storage building. But you saw his boots, his trunks. I mean, it was very breathtaking for me. That stuff should be at least in boxes or on shelves. So
it was just kind of laying there.
It was just laying there. She was picking stuff up off the floor. So yeah, this is one of the T-shirts he worked out on, and maybe it hurts them to go back in there and look at that. I understand that, but I don't know why. I hope that some private collector may have.
Man, I'm sure that when somebody saw that, they took care of that.
Just to see all that in there. So I hope that that's been done.
Mondo says somebody has the boots now.
Oh yeah, see, that's so great.
All right, Adam Hood says, were you on the cover of the WWF toy ring?
Yes, I sure was. Famous Ultimate Warrior, he knocked me out. That's the story I shared last time where he hit me so hard, Jeff, that it knocked me out. And then he cussed me because I couldn't get back up. Because I was knocked out, you big dummy. But we get in the back and he said, his arms are this big, bigger than my legs. I remember he was yelling at me in the dressing room. I was scared. I didn't know what I did wrong. I just got knocked out. What did I do wrong? Can't even get knocked out right, yeah. But he said that my because I threw my arms up for him to kill me. Because I've seen him clothesline people before. It's just carelessness.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't even look at you and hit you and break your nose. And so I threw my arms up. And they happened to take a ringside photographer took a picture. Well, he said my elbows hurt his arm. And we all laughed in the dressing room because the arm's that big. How'd my elbow do it? So they took the picture. I thought it was gone forever. One day, it was Zayre's, not Walmart. You remember Zayre's store?
Yeah.
And little George, my oldest son, was a little boy. I was pushing him through Zayre's. He said, Daddy, there's you. I said, no, it ain't. I said, be quiet, son. We got to go. He said, no, Dad, I'm telling you, that's it. And I looked. There's that Hasbro box. I have one of those sealed at home, and it's me. Oh, WWE's a genius. All they done, WWF, is they took the picture from the magazine and just put it on front of the box.
Mm-hmm.
People said, how much do you get paid for that? I said, nothing. WWF's a genius. Because, see, on the back of your check, like you do now, Jeff, you got to sign the back of the check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, up there where you signed, above it is a small release contract. And I remember a guy said, I ain't signing that. Well, you can't cash the check. If you don't sign the check, you can't cash it. Of course I'm going to sign. I want my money. But that gave them a release to do all that. But it is, I love to go to these conventions and find Hasbro collectors that's got all these Hasbro figures, but they won't even talk to me until they find out I'm the man on the front of that box. And then he come over and ask me a million questions.
Right.
But I sure am. I'm on that thing.
Let me ask you this. I got a question, and I'm going to get Jim Earnhardt's last question, and then we're going to have to wrap it up. Because you know old JC's working class.
Oh, yes.
But,
George, I'll see you in the morning. You just keep talking, okay? I wouldn't even know how to turn it off. But go ahead.
All right. The question I got is, have you ever signed any of those Hasbro boxes?
No.
No one's ever brought one to you?
No
to
one's
sign?
ever. That's a very, very good question, Jeff. They've never brought. Now, I have that same picture, and if I can remember, I'll bring it next time. I've got the 8x10 that I printed off of these actual pictures. But that's a very good question. I've never signed that.
That would be. I think that would be quite a thing to have you.
You know what? And you know what's amazing on the internet when people say, "Well, what?" And I said, "Just Google George South. Hasbro ring. Boom, there it comes." So I know they're out there. But that's a great question. You'd think one of these conventions somebody bring one up, but they've never done it.
Well, Jim wants to know, what is your most prized piece of personal memorabilia?
Oh goodness, we could do a whole episode on that. One day we may have to. It would probably be Chief Wahoo McDaniel's headdress, because I've learned over the years how much those feathers meant to the Indian tribes, the different tribes. And I remember one night I was just hoping for a knee pad because I loved Wahoo. He was this tough. I told you Wahoo's the toughest man I ever met because one time a man bet him, said, "I'll bet you $5 you won't drink this motor oil." And Wahoo, he wouldn't lose. He wouldn't lose golf. He wouldn't lose nothing. He was that competitive. He drank a quart of motor oil. Drunk it. Took that guy's $5. Walked out. Now, he may have thrown up when he got out the door, but he drunk motor oil. Anyway, greatest man in the world. He's the one I saw fight Ric Flair. We're taking the ring down, Jeff, the lights on. I said, who the heck's still here? I go in the bathroom, and Wahoo is in a mirror, Jeff, listen, with needle and thread, sewing up his own head.
Really?
And I said, dang, Chief. And he looked at me and he said, it's cheaper than going to a doctor. And just finished sewing his head. I think that's like tough. But anyway, when I asked Wahoo, I said, I'm going to see you tonight at my show. Can you bring me something to put in my little museum? And I thought it was going to be a knee pad, maybe an old pair of trunks. He comes walking up. He always carried his feathers wrapped up, in a plastic bag. And I always carried them like. He walks up. It's just me and him. Was in Shelby, North Carolina. Was at a huge fairgrounds outside. He walks up. And I just said, hey, Chief, how you doing? I'm so excited to have you. And he pitched the feathers over to me. And when I saw them, it was like a slow motion moment, Jeff. I knew what they were. And, old timers played ribs on you. They would get you emotionally up, and then they'd pull the rug out. But I thought, that dadburn Indian's going to take his back. And he never said nothing. And then I just slowly, I didn't even say goodbye, or I'll be back in a minute. I just slowly turned around, and I took off running to my car. And I put them feathers in my trunk of my car. And I have them presented now. Now Blackjack gave me some stuff. I got some Flair stuff like that. Got Tully some stuff from Tully, but Wahoo's headdress to know, and the special thing is, it's cool if you buy it, but to have the man give it to me is and I've had, and I ain't bragging, but I've had some crazy offers on this thing.
I bet.
And WWE wanted to come to my house and see what my collection. I'm the only wrestler that told them no. She said, well, we've never been told no. I said, well, WWE, after I leave to go to work, who's going to guard my house?
You said that?
Yeah, she said, we've never had that to be an issue. I said, well, I'm not going to show the world my wrestling collection, and then y'all leave and I go to work, and then everybody knows what's in my museum. And they never came. They hate me to this day. They said, we never had that to be an issue. I said, well, it's an issue now. So probably Wahoo McDaniel's headdress straight from the chief.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for the questions. And like I told you, I'm working class. I got to wrap it up.
Well, show me how to turn this off, okay? I'll get Coleman in here and we'll run this thing. No, Jeff, thank you.
Man, I'm going to tell you, I love having you on the show, man. The audience loves having you on.
Well, I love all of them, and I thank everybody. Look how easy they're pulling up the website.
They're putting up your website.
Easy.
Thank you, fellas.
And folks, thank all of y'all for tuning in tonight. I know it's a little bit later for both of us than normal. George needs to just shut up and lay down. But I love you, Jeff. I love Rebecca. And like I said, just to get to meet Coleman. I still have Winter, who's getting so big. She's still on my prayer list and doing so great, her and her family. So y'all are very, very, I've known you. I wish people wouldn't believe how long we've known each other.
A long time.
You gave me, and I still have it, I need to bring it. You gave me one of the early, probably I think you had them hanging up in Repo Records. You gave me a Terry Funk shirt.
Yeah.
An old, I think it was white with just
white. It had his name in neon red.
Yes, it sure did. Yeah, and that was 80-ish. You was marketing way before we were.
That was early 90s.
That was it? Yeah.
93.
Wow. Man, I still have that thing hanging up, but I knew you'd give me that. So, anyway, just so glad, man. People can find me, GeorgeSouth.com. Shane Martin, thank you so much for this figure
Don't
that's
forget
coming.
To get your George South action figure, I'm going to have the link to get it, the information to get it up on the ANTiSEEN page. I'm going to have it in the body and in the heading of this episode of Break On Through. I'm also going to have it on my personal page. And like he said, you just go to GeorgeSouth.com and it's the first thing that pops up. So let's.
Hey, brother.
George got me hyped
Chris
up.
said I got hyped up. Y'all better calm down and go to bed, okay? Every one of them going to be wanting to break on through tomorrow.
Hey, I told my wife before she went to bed, I said, now, when I get done here, I'm going to be a little revved up. So.
Exactly. Oh, man, I love you. Oh, Jeff, I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank all of you so much for listening to me again. Great show, buddy.
Thank every one of you, as always, for coming and hanging out with me. Tonight you hung out with me for an hour and a half. And I think this may be the longest break on through we've ever had.
George, shut up, please, man. And I ain't had no Mountain Dews. I'm trying to cut down on Mountain Dews.
You know what, man? One day, and I'm going to say this right here in front of the audience. One day we're going to have you on here, and it's going to be a no time limit. No time limit.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
I did too.
Oh, no time limit, folks.
Yeah, man. You know what? We'll start it earlier. We'll start it around 7 or something.
Oh, I love that, Jeff. That
would have a no time limit.
Oh, no time limit.
Falls County anywhere.
Falls County anywhere. Loser leave town. Okay.
or loser go to bed.
It's what I'm winning with. I asked the old timer one time when they used to do a battle royal, Jeff. Remember this? The winner of the battle royal got a Cadillac. All right, brand new Cadillac. As a kid, I saw the winner of the battle royal got a Cadillac. Years later, I asked Walt McDaniels, "How did y'all figure who got the Cadillac?" He said, "Oh, that was easy." He said, "We just waited till one of the wrestlers bought a new Cadillac. So whoever went and bought one got to win the battle royal." So that's a little secret for you fans.
That's great.
So whoever you saw driving around Charlotte better be the one in the new Cadillac that won the battle royal.
Man, speaking of Cadillacs, I know we're probably going to go to 10 o'clock, but I got to tell you something about a Cadillac. One time, man, this had to be It's had to be the late 70s. It had to be. We were, me and a couple of my friends were horsing around on these back roads of, we lived a little place right outside of Albemarle called New London.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we're back there, you know, jumping ramps, thinking we're Evil Knievel and all this stuff. And man, we knew that they had wrestling at Pfeiffer College.
Yes.
I used to go see the IWA there.
Oh, wow.
With a Bulldog Brower.
Yes, Mill Massacres and all.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we also heard tell that there was a there was a Cadillac place on Highway 52, and a lot of these guys would come, and I guess the guys making more money. So they would rent the Cadillac in Albemarle,
Oh, wow.
and drive it, you know, to the match, Pfeiffer.
Oh,
And
wow.
you're not gonna believe who I saw come down the back roads of New London, North Carolina. And I guess they were doing it so they could stay away from cops.
Right.
They may have been doing a little drinking.
Right, right. Yep.
But the reason I know it was them is because driving was Boris Malenko.
Oh,
Sitting beside, sunglasses, Blues Brothers hat, cigar, sitting beside him wearing the mask.
Mass Superstar.
Mass Superstar.
Oh, yeah. I just saw him. Oh,
And man, we were just like we saw him come, like it was a thing, you know, where it kind of comes around, and then the road goes like this.
Oh.
And you know, the road, the guys coming in the car, so we got to get our bikes out of the way. We're sitting there waiting for him to pass, and we all noticed the mask.
Oh,
Like, way back.
yeah. Oh, he's my all-time favorite.
And
oh,
then-
my gosh.
And you know, he comes around, and we just go. And you could tell they were kind of, I guess they noticed we knew who they were.
Oh.
Because Boris was like laughing. They
Oh,
didn't
my
wave
God.
at us or nothing, but they were laughing.
Right. Oh, my gosh.
And we were just like, that was Boris Malenko, the last superstar.
oh. Jeff, I just sat 2 tables down this past weekend for 3 days. The Mass Superstar Billy. Of course, he's Demolition, remember?
Right, right,
And
yeah.
he was Demolition with his partner Barry,
Mhm.
Axe and Smash. And because everybody remembers Demolition, but he'll always be, you know, Billy.
Man, he'll
Mass
always
Superstar.
be Mass Superstar to me.
You know, I always told the story. You know, he would be trying to talk to me without the mask on, right? And I mean, I'm respectful because I love him so much, and I'd be, you know, fixing my table, and Bill's talking, and all of a sudden, he's getting ready as the Mass Superstar, and he puts that mask on. And all of a sudden, I said, "Oh, Bill, what you doing?" I mean, you know, that mask and those eyes coming through
Right,
that mask,
right.
and folks, that was a time when the kayfabe was so strong. I mean, he didn't take the mask off.
Oh.
Some of the old time guys would shower with the mask on. That's how important it
Now,
was.
see, I always heard that they, especially that organization back then, they would tell their masked wrestlers to have their mask on 50 miles
Yes,
outside of the
Yes.
place. And
Yes.
see, we were only 20 miles away.
Right.
So
That's
that
a
they
true
was just
story.
about there.
Yeah, that's a true story. Listen, when me and Gary Roll was the Gladiators, we had to make a 4-hour, 300-mile trip down below Wilmington. And so me and Gary was together, and the people down there at that old arena, the stadium, they would line up. Jamie and her family, Jamie used to go, one of our fans, but they'd line up around the fence and watch us drive in. Well, there's only a few of them there, so we get there early, and I told Gary, I said, Gary, I'm not going to put my mask on. I said, nobody's going to know it's us. I said, you know, if we put a mask on, a blue mask, when we're the Gladiators and drive through that gate, they're gonna know. But if we don't, it just looks like 2 random guys, you know, drive. So he said, that's a great idea. I'm not going to either. So we drove right by those fans without the Gladiator mask. So that night, we're getting ready, big baseball stadium show. J.J. Dillon comes over. He said, guys, he said, I was told, and I know what he was going to say. I mean, it's a few minutes later, he said, I was told y'all didn't wear your mask into the building. And man, I mean, he called us, and he said, if it ever happens again, we will fire you. That's how strong that was. And I'm thinking, man, there's only a few people back then, you know, watching. Who would have, to me, it would have brought more attention with the blue mask. But man, we never did it again.
But man, you know what? That's a very, very good point, because there were only 3 of us, and they knew. I don't think they knew that I'd still be talking about it when I was 60 years old.
See, I love that. I love that. Especially when Bill Eadie, my superstar, was my favorite.
Brad Bowen says, he said, I felt like I started clapping before the song was over. All right, Brad. The song is over now.
Yeah,
Good night.
good night. Yeah, we're coming out for the 10th encore.
But
okay.
hey, next time, no time limit. That's the way we're going to do it.
No
George,
time.
thank you again.
I love you, my buddy. Thank
I
you
love
so
you
much.
too,
Thank
man.
y'all.
Y'all
fans.
take care. Thank you so
Such a
much
great show.
for
Thank
joining me once again on Break On Through.